make better documents. In this series, we'll take a look at some documents. We will look at 3 good things about a document and 3 things that could be better. Let's have a look at this Brisbane City Council strategic plan. We'll start by looking at the entire document. You can see there is a lot of pictures. So the first good thing I want to talk about is wayfinding in this document. So to start with, each of the new chapters, there's a full page spread, big giant image. It's very clear we're now in part 2. And then what happens is once we start getting into part 2, so the name shows up in the top left and right hand corners. And then once we start going into the different subsections of this document, there's like A, B, and C, and then they have their own colors. So the boxes show up with each of these subsections. So A, and it has its blue color, and you can see it's got a great big heading, so we know that we're now actually into a slightly new section of this document. And so that carries across once we get to B as well. Again, it's got this tealy color, big huge heading that says customer experience, and now up in the top left and right hand corners we have the name of the chapter. I also wanted to just mention that I think it is pretty cute in this particular document how they do the page numbers. So the page numbers are inside the little tiny cutout, and so that's probably more obvious on some pages where there's an image that you can see that's in the cutout. I just think this is a cute little touch. The second good thing I want to talk about in this particular document would be the high quality rendered images that they have clearly had somebody create. So these pictures actually look almost like they're photographs. It's very easy to see or imagine what the future plan will look like because of how well they've made these renders. So the third good thing I want to talk about is pretty much attached to this, where you can see they have the legend A, B, and C, where you can see what each of those different elements is. So the A, B, and C. The legends work really well also in these grayscale images, where they've highlighted certain aspects of the render in the color of that particular chapter. Also, one of the diagrams that I think is particularly good and I would like to share is this particular diagram here, where it's almost a spot the difference, where they're showing you, there's option A and there's option B and there's option C. And then because the diagram is so detailed, you could actually very much see the difference between each of these options that they are discussing. So what are some things that could be better? One of the things that I think could have been better in this particular document was the use of the images here on the page to show you the trees. I think that the tree pictures are just too similar to each other. Like H is literally the same picture, but unless you really know your trees, you're not going to tell the difference between each of these trees. They actually all look too similar. And that's probably a lot to do with what they were needing these trees for in terms of city planning. But I think that if they had used an illustration instead of a photograph, it might have made it easier to see the difference between the trees. Something else that I think could have been better in this document is, instead of having on most pages the key having the expression here continued over page, they probably could have shuffled the elements around on the spread a bit better to fit the legend with the pictures. The last thing that I think could have been better in this document is to do with these drop caps as part of the numbered list. Like, I understand that they were aiming for the numbers to be nice and big. We can see there's 6 different items, but what's happening is, because of the massive font difference between the number and the heading, it now makes the heading look less important than the number, and it's actually the headings here that should be more important in terms of the visual hierarchy. And because they've made these numbers so big, they've had to effectively use it as a drop cap, which is kind of just confusing. As a bonus, one of the other things that I think is really cool in this document is on this particular page, they're showing other strategic plans that the council have written. And I like that they put the cover of the strategic plan. So then when you do go and look for that strategic plan, you know you've got the correct one because you've already got that association with the cover page and what you found. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description is information about how to come to one of our online group workshops, how to hire me to design all of your workshop materials, as well as a link to quick online courses, making the world a more beautiful place, one document at a time.